Before we go deeper, let's establish the framework for understanding this invisible magnetism. The Sigma male exists outside traditional social hierarchies, not because he's incapable of climbing them, but because he finds the entire game fundamentally uninteresting. You're not antisocial, you're differently social. You're not avoiding leadership, you're redefining what leadership means. And you're not rejecting influence. You're wielding a form of influence that operates beneath the surface of obvious power dynamics. This comprehensive exploration spans 7 critical dimensions of Sigma magnetism. We'll examine the psychological foundations, the behavioral expressions, the strategic applications, and the common pitfalls that can undermine this powerful archetype. Each chapter builds on the last, creating a complete map of how invisible magnetism works and how to cultivate it authentically in your own life. 1. The silent power that commands every room. You walk into a room and something shifts. Not because you announced your arrival, not because you demanded attention, but because there's something fundamentally different about your energy. While everyone else is performing, competing for validation, scrambling to be seen, you're simply there, complete within yourself. This isn't arrogance, this isn't aloofness for show. This is the invisible magnetism that defines the Sigma male, and today, we're pulling back the curtain on why this quiet power is more influential than any loud display of dominance could ever be. Here's what most people don't understand. True influence doesn't come from being the loudest voice in the room. It comes from being so secure in your own value that you don't need to prove anything to anyone, and that terrifies the hierarchy-obsessed world we live in. Because when you refuse to play the game of social positioning, when you operate outside the traditional dominant structures, you become unpredictable, dangerous, magnetic. The Sigma male possesses a gravitational pull that operates on a completely different frequency than traditional alpha dominance. While alphas lead through direct assertion and social positioning, Sigmas influence through mystery, competence, and an almost supernatural self-sufficiency. You don't seek the spotlight, yet people can't help but notice you. You don't chase approval, yet respect finds you anyway. This paradox is what we're dissecting today, the invisible force that makes Sigma males simultaneously attractive and intimidating, admired and misunderstood. In this deep exploration, we're going beyond surface-level characteristics. We're examining the psychological architecture that creates this magnetic effect, the behavioral patterns that amplify it, and the strategic mindset that sustains it. Whether you're already walking this path or aspiring to develop these qualities, understanding the mechanics of Sigma magnetism will transform how you move through the world. And if you're ready to go deeper into the Sigma mindset, to understand not just what makes you different, but how to weaponize that difference for unprecedented success, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is your exclusive access point to Sigma psychology, strategy, and mastery. We don't do superficial advice here, we do transformation. Now let's begin. 2. The paradox of presence without performance. The first principle of Sigma magnetism is perhaps the most counterintuitive. You create impact by refusing to perform. Every other social archetype operates on the assumption that value must be displayed, proven, advertised. The alpha flexes his dominance. The beta seeks approval through agreeableness. Even lower-tier personalities are constantly broadcasting their position, their achievements, their worth. But you understand that the most powerful statement is often silence. This isn't about being passive or withdrawn. It's about operating from a place of such deep self-certainty that external validation becomes irrelevant. When you enter a space, you're not scanning for opportunities to impress. You're not calculating social hierarchies or positioning yourself for maximum visibility. You're simply present, fully engaged with your own purpose and path, creating a gravitational field that others can't help but notice. Think about the last time you encountered someone who seemed completely comfortable in their own skin, unbothered by the social games playing out around them. Remember how that stood out? How it created a subtle tension in the room because their energy didn't fit the expected patterns? That's the Sigma effect in action. Your refusal to participate in social performance creates a vacuum that others feel compelled to fill. They start wondering about you, questioning their own assumptions, seeking your approval precisely because you're not seeking theirs. This principle operates on a fundamental truth about human psychology. We're wired to pursue what retreats from us. The moment you stop chasing validation, approval, or recognition, you trigger an ancient instinct in others, the need to understand and connect with the mysterious. Your self-containment becomes intriguing. Your independence becomes attractive. Your indifference to social positioning becomes a form of power that traditional hierarchies can't neutralize. Consider the dynamics of a typical networking event or social gathering. Most people are performing, telling rehearsed stories, name-dropping, angle-fishing for advantage. The alpha is holding court, collecting attention like currency. The beta is laughing at jokes that aren't funny, agreeing with opinions he doesn't hold. And then there's you, asking genuine questions because you're actually curious, speaking only when you have something meaningful to contribute, comfortable with silence while others scramble to fill every gap in conversation. What happens? People remember you, not because you tried to be memorable, but because your authenticity created contrast against a backdrop of performance. Business opportunities come to you. Romantic interests gravitate toward you. Respect accumulates around you, not through assertion, but through the demonstration of complete self-possession. This paradox extends into every domain of life. In professional settings, while others are politicking and positioning, you're focused on actual competence and results. This focus creates excellence that speaks for itself. In relationships, while others are playing games and maintaining facades, you're offering genuine connection or honest distance. This clarity becomes irresistible to quality people, while simultaneously repelling those who traffic in manipulation. The key understanding here is that presence without performance isn't about being mysterious for mystery's sake. It's about being so genuinely engaged with your own purpose, so completely aligned with your own values, that the opinions and perceptions of others become background noise. You're not trying to be magnetic. You're not strategizing to create intrigue. You're simply living from your center, and that authenticity creates a gravitational pull that no amount of social performance can manufacture. This is why fake Sigmas always eventually reveal themselves. They're performing the aesthetics of independence while still being deeply invested in how they're perceived. True Sigma magnetism comes from actual self-sufficiency, emotional, psychological, and practical. It's the difference between someone who talks about not caring what others think while constantly checking for reactions, and someone who genuinely doesn't notice because they're too focused on their own path. When you master this principle, when you truly embody presence without performance, you'll notice a shift in how the world responds to you. Conversations become easier because you're not managing impressions. Decisions become clearer because you're not filtering everything through the question of, how will this make me look? Relationships become more authentic because you're attracting people who appreciate your genuine self, rather than some performed version designed to gain approval. This is the foundation of Sigma magnetism, the refusal to play games you never agreed to play, combined with the confidence to exist fully as yourself, regardless of how others respond. Everything else we discuss builds on this bedrock principle. 3. Self-sufficiency as the ultimate attraction. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Most people are desperate. desperate for validation, for connection, for someone to complete them, to fix them, to give their lives meaning. They walk around with gaping emotional holes, hoping someone else will fill them, and that desperation repels quality people while attracting predators and parasites. Your magnetism comes from the opposite energy, complete self-sufficiency. You've built a life so rich, so purposeful, so aligned with your values that you genuinely don't need anyone. You want meaningful connections, sure, but you don't need them to feel whole. This psychological independence creates an attraction force that desperation never could. Think about it practically. When you don't need a relationship to feel validated, you can actually choose partners based on genuine compatibility rather than emotional urgency. When you don't need a job for identity, you can negotiate from a position of strength because walking away is always an option. When you don't need friendships for social proof, you can be selective about who gets access to your time and energy. This self-sufficiency shows up in tangible ways. You've developed skills that make you valuable in multiple contexts. You've built financial independence that gives you freedom to make choices based on principle rather than necessity. You've cultivated emotional resilience that allows you to process challenges internally rather than requiring constant external support. You've created a meaningful life that would be complete even if you never met another person. And paradoxically, this is exactly what makes others want to be part of your life. Quality women are attracted to men who have their own mission, their own purpose, their own complete existence that she might enhance but never needs to create. Quality friends respect men who bring value rather than neediness to relationships. Quality business partners seek out those who collaborate from strength rather than desperation. The false Sigma tries to fake this by appearing aloof or disinterested, but that's just another form of performance. True self-sufficiency isn't about seeming independent, it's about being so genuinely fulfilled by your own life that other people become optional additions rather than necessary components. Build that reality, and magnetism follows automatically. 4. Competence without credential worship. Society loves credentials, degrees, titles, certifications, official recognitions. These things provide convenient shorthand for "this person is valuable." But you understand that real competence has nothing to do with what's printed on paper. You're interested in what you can actually do, the problems you can actually solve, the value you can actually create. This orientation changes everything. While others are collecting credentials to impress people, you're collecting capabilities to accomplish goals. While they're worried about how things look on a resume, you're worried about whether you can execute when it matters. This focus on real-world competence over symbolic achievement creates a different kind of confidence, one that's unshakable because it's based on demonstrated ability rather than borrowed authority. People sense this immediately. When you speak about your field, you speak with the specificity of someone who's actually done the work, not someone who memorized information for an exam. When challenges arise, you solve them through practical knowledge rather than theoretical frameworks. When opportunities appear, you can seize them because you've built actual capacity rather than impressive-sounding credentials. This doesn't mean credentials are worthless. They open doors, provide structure, offer frameworks. But you never mistake the map for the territory. You pursue credentials when they serve your goals, not because you need external validation of your worth. And you respect competence wherever you find it, whether in someone with multiple PhDs or someone who dropped out of high school but mastered their craft through relentless practice. This approach makes you dangerous in the best way. You can't be dismissed based on lack of credentials because your work speaks for itself. You can't be intimidated by someone else's titles because you measure people by what they can do. not what they're called. You can't be trapped in credential-based hierarchies because you've built value that exists independent of institutional approval. The magnetism here comes from obvious competence combined with lack of pretension. You're not trying to impress anyone with your achievements. You're simply capable, and that capability is evident in everything you do. This attracts opportunities, respect, and relationships based on genuine value rather than superficial status. 5. Emotional mastery, not emotional suppression. Let's destroy a dangerous myth. The Sigma male is not emotionless. You're not a robot. You're not suppressing feelings or pretending they don't exist. What you've mastered is something far more sophisticated. Emotional intelligence combined with strategic expression. You feel everything, often more intensely than others, because you're not constantly distracting yourself with social performance. But you've developed the capacity to experience emotions without being controlled by them. Anger arises, you acknowledge it, you extract the useful information it provides about your boundaries or values, and then you respond rather than react. Fear appears, you examine it, you determine if it's warning you of real danger or just discomfort with growth, and then you proceed based on rational assessment rather than emotional impulse. This emotional mastery gives you a massive advantage. In conflicts, while others are escalating through emotional contagion, you remain centered and strategic. In crises, while others are panicking, you're processing information and making decisions. In relationships, while others are riding roller coasters of reactive emotion, you're offering steady presence combined with genuine feeling when it serves connection. People find this incredibly magnetic because emotional stability is rare and valuable. Most people are drowning in their own emotional chaos and desperately seeking someone who can remain grounded. Your capacity to feel deeply while maintaining composure creates safety for others. They know they can bring their problems to you without triggering reactive drama. They know you'll respond to their emotions with empathy rather than defensive escalation. But here's the key. This isn't about being cold or distant. When you do express emotion, it's powerful precisely because it's intentional. When you show vulnerability, it creates deep intimacy because people know it's genuine rather than manipulation. When you express anger, it's taken seriously because it's rare and proportional. Your emotional range is actually broader than most people's. You've just developed the wisdom to deploy it strategically rather than reactively. 6. Mission over distraction. Every Sigma male has a core mission, something that drives him at a level beyond mere career or hobby. It might be building a business, mastering a craft, creating art, solving a specific problem, or pursuing a vision that others don't yet understand. Whatever it is, this mission provides the organizing principle for your entire life. This singular focus creates magnetism in multiple ways. First, purposeful people are inherently attractive. When someone asks what you do and you describe your mission with genuine passion and clarity, that energy is contagious. Second, your mission gives you a built-in filter for decisions. Does this opportunity serve the mission? Does this relationship support or distract from it? This clarity makes you efficient and effective in ways that scattered people never achieve. Third, and most importantly, your mission makes you unavailable for bullshit. You don't have time for office politics because you're building something real. You don't get drawn into petty conflicts because they're irrelevant to your goals. You don't chase every shiny opportunity because you're committed to a specific path. This selectivity is magnetic because it signals high value. You're not accessible to everyone, and that makes access to you meaningful. The mission also provides immunity against manipulation. When someone tries to leverage your insecurities or play on your fears, your mission keeps you anchored. When society tries to pressure you into conventional paths, your mission provides justification for the road less traveled. When doubt arises, your mission reminds you why temporary discomfort is worth long-term achievement. People are drawn to this clarity of purpose. They want to be part of something meaningful, and your mission provides that opportunity. Quality individuals will align with your vision. Resources will flow toward your focused energy. Opportunities will arise because people know exactly what you're about and can connect you with relevant possibilities. Your mission becomes a beacon that attracts everything you need while repelling everything that would distract you. 7. The authentic integration. Everything we've explored, strategic silence, self-sufficiency, competence, emotional mastery, mission, focus, means nothing if it's performed rather than embodied. The final and most crucial element of Sigma magnetism is authentic integration. These aren't tactics you deploy or masks you wear. They're expressions of who you genuinely are at your core. This is where most people attempting the Sigma path fail. They try to act mysterious without developing genuine substance to be mysterious about. They practice stoicism without doing the internal work to actually master their emotions. They claim independence while still desperately seeking validation. The performance is always visible to perceptive people, and it repels the very individuals they're trying to attract. Authentic integration requires brutal self-honesty. You must identify where you're still seeking approval, where you're still performing, where your independence is facade rather than reality. Then you must do the unglamorous work of actually building the life skills and psychology that make these qualities genuine. This takes years, not weeks. It requires constant self-examination and course correction. But here's the reward. When these qualities become genuinely integrated into who you are, the magnetism becomes effortless. You're not trying to be attractive. You're living your truth, and attraction follows naturally. You're not strategizing social dynamics. You're being yourself, and influence emerges organically. You're not performing confidence. You're simply confident because you've built a life that warrants it. This authentic integration also protects you from the dark side of Sigma traits: isolation without loneliness, independence without arrogance, strength without cruelty, mystery without manipulation. When these qualities come from genuine self-development rather than social strategy, they serve you rather than define you. You remain flexible, capable of connection when you choose it, vulnerable when appropriate, collaborative when it serves your mission. The invisible magnetism of the Sigma male ultimately comes down to this: being so completely yourself, so utterly aligned with your values and purpose, so genuinely developed in competence and character, that you become magnetic not through effort, but through authenticity. Stop trying to be magnetic. Start building a life so compelling that magnetism is inevitable. If you've made it this far, you're serious about the Sigma path. This isn't entertainment for you. It's transformation. Subscribe to Official Sigma Male now, because we're just getting started. The content here will challenge you, push you, and provide the frameworks for genuine evolution. This is your community of men committed to excellence without apology, independence without isolation, strength without ego. Join us. Your next level awaits. The invisible magnetism of Sigma males isn't magic, and it isn't manipulation. It's the natural result of aligning your external behavior with internal authenticity, of building genuine competence instead of performing confidence, of valuing substance over appearance. In our first exploration today, we've uncovered the foundational paradox that presence without performance creates more impact than any amount of social positioning or status display. As we continue through this series, we'll go deeper into the specific mechanisms that amplify this magnetism, how you communicate, how you handle conflict, how you build relationships, how you pursue goals. Each principle compounds on the others, creating a way of moving through the world that's simultaneously more effective and more aligned with who you actually are. If this resonates with you, if you recognize these patterns in yourself or aspire to develop them, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to Official Sigma Male right now, because we're building something different here. Not a community of wannabes trying to fake confidence, but a network of men committed to genuine self-development, strategic thinking, and living life on their own terms. Hit that subscribe button, and let's continue this journey together. The next chapter awaits your approval.